Hey guys, welcome to another math video. For this video, I'll be talking about equations of circles. Okay, so let's dive right in. So these are the things that I'll be talking about. So let's go ahead and go right into it. So this is the standard form for the equation of a circle. So let's take a look at all the different parts here. So first off, we have x, and that just stays x, really. Then we have y, which just stays y. R you've seen before, that's the variable we use for radius. H here, we have the x-coordinate of the center, and k is the y-coordinate of the center. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out is in this standard form, you see an x minus and a y minus. So if you see an x minus and a y minus, that means h and k are both positive. If any one of those is a plus, then you know their corresponding value is a negative. So if you see like an x plus h, you know that h is a negative value, because in order to get a plus, you need two negatives. Okay, so let's take a look at this example here. So we're going to find the equation of a circle that has the center 1, 3 with a radius of 3. So since all the pieces are given to us, remember the circle here is in the form h comma k, where h is the x-coordinate of the center and k is the y-coordinate of the center. And we have r. R, remember, was the radius. So we can just substitute those into our equation here. Because we have h, k, and r, remember x and y stays x and y. Okay, so we don't want to leave it like this. We want to simplify this. And these you can leave in factored form like this, but any values, any constants like this, you want to simplify. Right? And that's pretty much it for that. Let's take a look at another example here. Okay, so this time we have a center at -1, -1. Radius now is 2. So we're going to start off again with the standard form of the circle. We're going to substitute in all of our values, h, k, and r. So now here again, you want to simplify your constant, and you don't want to leave this as a minus negative. You want to simplify those signs. Okay, like so. Okay, so now let's say you have an expanded form of some equation, and you want to change it back into standard form. So let's go over those steps here. So any constants you have, you want to move to the opposite side of the equal sign first. Okay? Then you want to group, well, it's not going to be like terms in this case, it's going to be similar terms, because you have an x squared and an x, and a y squared and a y. So you want to group those together. Then for each of those groups, you want to complete the square. And remember, when you complete the square, you're going to have to add that value to the opposite side of the equal sign as well. Okay. Then you want to factor each perfect square trinomial. You want to turn them into a perfect square binomial, which the standard form of a circle has. Then you want to simplify the constant, and you can do that in the same step. So let's take a look at an example here. So, sorry, let me go back real quick. Simplify the constants. I didn't mean to just fast forward real quick there, but let me get going. Okay, so we're going to put this equation into standard form. Okay, so first step, remember, was to move all the constants to the opposite side of the equal sign. Okay, so we'll do that first. And then we'll group the x's and the y's together, like so. Now for each of these, we're going to complete the squares. Now if you forgot how to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take half of the b value. So both of these have a b value, and they're the ones with the variable that has the power of 1. Okay, so we're going to take half of the b value and then square it. So half of 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. Half of 4 is 2, 2 squared is 4, so to this we're going to add 1, and to this we're going to add 4. And at the same time, we're going to add those values to this side of the equal sign. Okay, so now we have perfect square trinomial, and like terms. So here we're going to factor, and simplify. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So this circle has a center at 1, -2 with a radius of 5. Okay, so now let's say you have a graph. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to find the coordinates of the circle, well, coordinates of the center. Now, in the case where they give you 2 endpoints of the diameter, what you want to do is you want to use the midpoint formula. If they give you the center, great. If they give you 2 endpoints, indicating that they're endpoints of the diameter, you're going to have to use the midpoint formula to find the center. Okay. Now, in this case, if you're given, even if you're given the center right off, you're going to have to find the radius if they haven't given that to you also. So if you got the coordinates for the endpoints plus the center, you can use the center and one of the 2 endpoints in the distance formula to find the radius. And we'll go over that in the example. Okay. And then once you have all of your information, go ahead and substitute in and simplify as needed. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so here we have a center, and what's nice is they also was nice enough to mark out the radius. Okay, so we can just substitute those values into our equation here, and then go ahead and simplify all this. Alright, so this is nice. They give us a picture. Great. Okay. So it's kind of like those first 2 examples where they gave us a center in paragraph form and the radius. This one is basically the same thing, it's just that they have a picture this time. Okay, so now let's try this one. So we're going to find the equation of a circle. So this one, they give us the endpoints of the diameter. So first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to find the center. So to find the center, we're going to use the midpoint formula. Okay, so if you remember the midpoint formula, it was the sum of the x coordinates divided by 2, and the sum of the y coordinates divided by 2. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to simplify that, and simplify that. Okay, so there's our center. Next, we're going to find the radius. Okay, so to find the radius, the easiest way to do it is to use one of the 2 endpoints with the center. Okay, so we're going to use the distance formula in order to do that. So for this one, I used a 0.83 with center 6, Okay, so if we simplify this, that's our radius. Now let's say you wanted to use the other one, the other endpoint here with the center. We can do that too. Okay, so this time we're using 4,9 with the center 6, and if you go through it, it should come out to the same value. Now, if you wanted to see using the diameter, we can do that too. Okay, so we're going to use the diameter. The thing about using the endpoints of the diameter is, because it's the whole thing, the radius is only half of the length of the diameter, so you actually have to divide it by 2. Don't forget that part. Okay, so here we got 8,3 and 4,9. So we'll simplify this. And sorry for all the parentheses, but this portion here is under the square root while the 2 is not. Okay, so simplify. So here you're going to reduce the square root. Okay, and if you're not sure how to do this, you're going to check out my other video on square roots. And then from here we simplify this, and you get the same thing. So no matter which method you use, you should get the same answer. Of course, it's going to be easier to use one of the two endpoints with the center. Right? You see here we got 2 less steps to do. Okay. So I actually ran out of space. I'm going to continue on the next slide. So I'm going to remind you what the center and the radius was. Okay, so from here we have all the information we need to substitute into our standard form. Okay, we got each k and we got r. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to substitute everything in and then simplify, because we don't want to leave this like this, because this is a constant. And there you have it. Okay, so next here we're going to plot a circle. So the first thing we want to do is find the center. Okay, so 1, -2, and we need the radius. So remember, this is radius squared. So to find the radius, we have to square root this value. Okay, so our radius is 2. We have all the information we need to draw our circle. So here's our Cartesian plane. So the center is going to be a 1, -2 with a radius of 2. So your circle should look something like this. Okay, so it's going to be hard to figure out that this is a distance of 2. So it's easy to go up, down, left, or right to figure out if you got a radius of 2. Okay, so here 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so we got a circle with a center of 1, -2 with a radius of 2. In most programs, especially programs online, all you gotta do is click on the center and go in one of the 4 directions as many times as your radius, and you got a nice round circle. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it for this video. I know it was a little bit longer than I expected it to be, so if you need to go back and take a look at the examples again, feel free to rewind, take a look. Any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Really appreciate that. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.